now.
Coming through?
Yes.
Right. Good evening, members. Welcome to the Development Committee, 24th of September 2020. We'll get straight on with the agenda. We have apologies for absence from Councillor Ianu at the moment. I can't see Councillor Weston at present. There are no substitute members attending. Non-members attending, I've noted Councillor Gooding, which takes us on to item number 4 straight away. Minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of August 2020. Be happy for me to sign those as a correct and accurate record of that meeting. A show of hands won't be sufficient. That was yeah, thank you. Right, item 5 is declarations of interest. Councillor Merrick.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't, in fact, have a declaration of interest, but as to item 6, as I was not able to be present at the August meeting of this committee, I did not hear the debate for item 6, which may be relevant for this evening's meeting. I will therefore not participate in the debate nor vote on that item.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. Non-pecuniary interest in as much as I'm a patron of this establishment.
Thank you very much. Councillor Butcher.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. As with Councillor Merrick, I also wasn't at that meeting and didn't take any part in the debate, so I also will refrain from voting and debating in that.
Thank you.
Item 6.
Thank you. Councillor Eaves. Just unmute, please. Your unmute hasn't worked.
Work on the keyboard for some reason or other. Similar to Councillor Merrick, I was not at the meeting in August, but I have taken quite a lot of interest in this and read all of the material that has come out, so I will be voting on this one. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll move straight on to item 6, 284 Ferry Road, Holmbridge. As has been mentioned, this is a deferred item from last month, and Katie Rogers is going to take us through this one.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen with you. Oh, Sonia, I need you to enable me to share my screen, please. Oh, thank you. Members, this site is located towards the northern end of Ferry Road, adjacent to the River Crouch, with the site edged red on the screen. This is a photo of the existing building on the site. The proposal seeks to extend the existing public house with an extension to the east, where my cursor is here, which would replace the outbuildings currently in this position on site. Alterations to the existing building are also proposed, which include demolition of this flat-roofed front extension here. The application was heard at the Development Committee in August and deferred to allow the applicant the opportunity to address issues raised by members relating to car parking, scale, and the external facing material proposed for use. So on screen now you can see the proposed site plan. In relation to parking, members were clear that the preferred bay size of 5.5 metres by 2.9 metres should be achieved for all new car parking spaces at the site. This revised site plan, shown on screen, shows that all new additional spaces would now meet the preferred bay size. This has resulted in 7 fewer spaces and the reorientation of some spaces in this location where my cursor is here. The number of spaces to serve the extended pub would remain acceptable. The applicant had previously proposed that the extension would be finished in Siberian larch. The applicant has listened to members' concern in relation to this and now proposes the use of ash sourced in the UK. The scale and form of the extension remain as originally proposed, although the applicant has sought to provide further justification as to the design approach. So the eastern extension would consist of these four ridges. 3 of the ridge lines would be significantly lower than the roof height of the existing building, whilst one would be higher, this one here. But it would only be marginally so and no higher than the chimney. Ridges of all the same height would appear rather uniform, whilst the proposal gives variation and visual interest. There would also be significant separation between the highest ridge and the existing building to allow visual distinction. The degree of separation would mean that the extension would be less prominent when viewed from Ferry Road than the two-dimensional image might suggest. The roof pitch also reflects that of the existing building, so the applicant has provided this illustration. The image on the left shows an angle on the existing roof between 55 and 60 degrees, with the extension on the right-hand side shown would reflect this, one of the ridges being 55 degrees here and another being 60. This steeply pitched roof is characteristic of traditional building form and typical of design promoted by Policy DM1, which refers to the Essex Design Guide. In addition, the applicant has provided this 3D visual image, which shows the degree of separation between the existing building and the highest ridge. Finally, this image, although orientated differently, has been provided by the applicant and shows historic barns with steeply pitched roofs adjacent to the river, and the design proposed is reminiscent of these. I'll take you back to the site plan. In conclusion, the applicant has addressed members' concerns relating to car parking and external facing materials and provided further justification as to the appropriateness of the proposed design. The recommendation is therefore one of approval. It should be noted that there's a slight correction to condition 2, just to list 2 additional plans, which will be required in respect of an approval. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a speaker statement on this, and I believe Sonia is going to read that one out for us, please.
Statement is from Mr. Michael Hendry of Navigate Planning on behalf of the applicant. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the officer for a well-reasoned report and welcome the recommendation of approval. Further to the comments discussed at the committee meeting on the 27th of August 2020, the applicant has considered the key elements raised by members, namely parking, materials, design and ridge height. I address each element in turn below. Parking. The parking layout has been amended as requested by members and as highlighted in the officer's report. All parking spaces on the existing hard standing measure 5 metres by 2.6 metres, which is in excess of the council's minimum parking standards. All of the parking spaces on the extended car park meet the council's desired maximum parking standards and measure 5.5 times 2.9 metres. Materials. As requested, the design team has looked again at the choice of timber cladding and proposes a UK-sourced thermally treated ash to increase its durability and would accept a suitably worded condition in respect of external materials. It should be noted that the change from Siberian larch to thermally treated ash has doubled the cost of the cladding. Design and ridge height. The design team has looked again at the design and the ridge height of the highest element and has decided not to change the design for the following reasons. The ridge is set well back in from the original building and will be less prominent from Ferry Road than the two-dimensional elevations would suggest. The ridge is no higher than the highest point of the previously approved motel scheme. The ridge is no higher than the chimney of the existing buildings. The design seeks to contrast with the original 1930s public house and draw influence from traditional boathouses and warehouses along the river. However, it is a modern interpretation of the form and need not replicate every element of a traditional timber-clad Essex building. The proposal is designed to be visually stimulating while respecting its setting to emphasise the Anchor and Hullbridge as a destination on the coastal path. The relatively steep roofs were an intentional reflection of the local vernacular and relate directly with the angles contained in the roof of the existing building. A reduction in the angle of the pitch to reduce the ridge height would appear visually jarring and squat in the overall composition and would be detrimental to the visual appearance of the proposal. The design has the support of the Conservation Officer and the Planning Officer. The design has the support of the Economic Development Officer due to its job creation and visitor attracting potential, and concludes that the proposal is bold and eye-catching and could serve to further highlight Hullbridge as an important visitor destination on the coastal path. It should be noted that the proposal will result in a 2.5 million investment in the Anchor, the retention of the existing 30 jobs, the creation of 20 new jobs, and the continued support of up to 60 jobs in the supply chain. The proposal represents a significant boost to Hullbridge, local businesses, and the wider population. All of the above is set against the backdrop of the most challenging trading conditions ever faced by the industry, and one in which many hospitality businesses will not survive. Officers have again considered the issues carefully and have concluded that the proposal represents a positive contribution to the area, both visually and economically. I reiterate my support for the officer's recommendation and trust that the information provided will assist members in the debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, obviously you're aware that we had a full and comprehensive debate on this at the last meeting. So I do intend to guide you to discussing the items that we specifically deferred to this item for, that being the car parking, the cladding, and the clarification about the relative scale of the item. So Councillor Stanley, you've indicated if you'd like to go first, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Could I just look at the drawing that shows the roof line, and the next one I believe shows all four roof lines? It seems to be a little bit of differential in that, in as much as the roof is split into two. In other words, it's like a Dutch roof, the way it's presented. Is that going to be built like? That's the one. Yeah. You've got it's graduated into two pieces in the roof line, whereas it doesn't show that on the main drawing. So which one is right? Is it going to be a complete roof on that angle all the way down, or is it going to be a split roof?
The item that is on your left-hand side is the existing. The one on the right-hand side is the proposal.
Okay, right. Right. So, and the other question is, what difference would it make if that the larger building, the apex or the top of the larger building, what difference would it make to the architectural and deliverance of the surrounding scenery if that was brought down to the same height as the original building?
On that one, Councillor Stanley, that's not the proposal that is front of us to determine. That's a subjective question. So I'll have to sort of steer on that one, that we can't take that into account. We must take only into account the proposal that's in front of us, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So that was my comments. I'm more than happy to understand that the proposal of not using a Siberian larch to using ash, which is accommodated in this country, and it gives people, those that are supplying and manufacturing the product for this development, the developers have recognised that, and I wholeheartedly agree with them. It keeps employment into this area.
Thank you very much. Then, Councillor Eaves, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. I have to say I am very encouraged by the economic contribution that a development of this size and scale and amount of money will be making to the area, and I have to applaud them under current situations for taking on such a huge project when the future is so uncertain. Having said that, as I said at the outset of the meeting, I was not at the meeting in August, but I have followed the developments and listened to the debate that was had in detail. There are a number of issues that I have with the proposal that we are discussing tonight. If I take the pitch of the roofs for a start off, there are a number of issues with the way that the applicant has actually put this forward. As you'll see on the items that are on screen and the drawings that are on screen at the moment, the original building is a mansard roof. Now, for those of you who don't know what a mansard roof is, it's a dual pitch roof. To say that the actual proposal is replicating that is quite untrue. It does not in any way, shape or form. You've got an average angle there that you're picking up on. Yeah, okay, fair enough, I get that. But to say that it's replicating anything from the original building is not true. The photographs that we were told, that we were showed in the presentation, they show roofs which are, I would guess by what I saw there, 45-degree pitch, which would be expected to be somewhere around about that in the traditional building. These are nowhere near that pitch. So there is a design issue that I think there on the pitch is an issue. The other issue is the materials. I appreciate that the applicant has changed the Siberian lurch for English ash, but the fact of using timber on the outside in the aspect that they're using it there, I would bring to mind a building that is in Shoebury, that is in Towerfield Road. That's a block of flats that was actually clad in a similar way. And when it first was commissioned, it looked spectacular. And I don't hide that fact. And I would reflect the same sort of feeling when this is actually finished, if it goes through. But the fact is, if you go down there now, what happens with timber in this kind of aspect is it goes very dark grey in a very short space of time. And this building, I'm sorry to say, but I think it will look like a glorious carbuncle within a very few years. And the choice of the outside materials here, considering that you're also in a seafront effective atmosphere there, will not look good within a very short space of time. So to say that this actually proposal is meeting CP1 and DP1 in our standards, I think is actually not right. And I cannot support this application with the actual material that the applicant has put forward. Okay. The roof height, they did actually say before was no higher than the original, but now they've actually changed that to be the height. It's no less height than the chimneys. There's just one small point, which is a practical point that I'd like to question. I don't see any provision on site for commercial bin storage.
That issue was covered. It is there.
Okay. That as long as it's been covered. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. I think that the the developer has actually listened to what the committee spoke about last time. I think they tick the boxes with the improved parking, so that's not a problem. We did specifically ask for a different material, and again, they've listened, and notwithstanding what Councillor Reeves has said, they've actually gone with that. I think the thing that was outstanding really was the scale. And I understand what the developers are saying. The height of it and the mass of it is different from the motel that was actually granted planning permission. So some of the talk that we had or the discussion that we had at the last meeting was around the size and the scale, but some of that wasn't really material issues. It was more to do with the fact that this is different, and again, notwithstanding the point about the roofs, this is an interpretation. It's not an exact copy of the existing building. So I would fully support this, and I would move for approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Mrs. Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going back on the notes that we had on the last development, and I actually would congratulate the developer on listening to everything we actually said. And I think they've actually addressed everything that we asked for. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor FD.
I don't really want to repeat what the last two have said too much, but I wholeheartedly agree with that. This is subjective. Some people like it, some people don't. I particularly don't like it, but it wouldn't stop me agreeing it. They've listened to what we've said and they seem to have fulfilled it. And I think this will look great in Holbridge, something which will be a mixture of modern and historic. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hookway.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yes, I would like to congratulate the agent and developer for listening to what members said at the last meeting and taking note of that and providing us with an amended application. I have read what was stated about the issue to do with the height of the eaves and that. I think overall, on balance, that this is a better proposal. And at the end of the day, the extension proposed is a contemporary design, and it's one of these sort of things that you know, different people will have different views on it, but it's not an issue for refusing this particular application. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, members. No other members have indicated. Councillor Wilson has moved this. I'm happy to second it from the chair. We have recommendations on page 6.1 of the report through to page 6.6, with the small addition of a couple of extra plans as mentioned by the officer. So I'll now move through to the voting. As usual, if you could please indicate if you want a recorded vote, then the way you want to vote. So it would be for the approval or against. So Councillor Butcher, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I should abstain, as I said at the beginning.
Thank you. Councillor FD.
For the application and God, my brain's gone. And against a recorded.
Thank you. Councillor Eaves.
No recorded and abstain. Thank you, Chair.
Abstain. Thank you. Councillor Hookway.
No recorded vote and for the application.
Thank you. Councillor Merrick.
No for recorded, abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Shaw.
No for recorded vote and for.
Councillor Mr. Shaw.
No recorded vote and for.
Thank you. Myself, no recorded vote and for. Councillor Stanley.
No recorded vote and for.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chairman. No recorded vote and for.
Councillor Wilson.
No recorded vote and 4.
Thank you. That item is approved. Thank you. We'll move on now to an item that wouldn't normally come before us, but this is an officer's application, 88 Parklands, Rochford. And Katie's going to present on this one again for us.
Thank you. This application relates to a residential property at number 88 Parklands and is before members as the applicant is an employee of Rochford Council. This is an application for a non-material amendment. This type of application allows the applicant to seek to agree minor changes to an approved scheme without the need to reapply for full planning permission. In this type of application, the decision must be based solely on whether the proposed change is so minor it could be regarded as having no material effect compared to the approved scheme. No public consultation is ever carried out in relation to these types of applications. In this case, the original planning permission approved was for a single-storey side extension. The change the applicant proposes is a reduction in the width of the side extension by approximately 1.2 metres to the front elevation. So that's this width here where my cursor is. This change is necessary to avoid a drain that cannot be built over. The height and design of the proposed extension would remain as approved. The change is considered so minor as to qualify as a non-material amendment, and the recommendation is therefore one of approval.
Thank you. Does anyone actually want to comment on this one? No. Okay, we will go straight to the vote then. The recommendation is on 7.1 and the top of 7.2. So we'll go straight through again. Councillor Butcher.
Yeah, no recorded vote and approve.
Thank you. Councillor FD.
No recorded vote and approve.
Thank you. Councillor Eaves.
Recorded vote and 4.
Councillor Hookway.
No recorded vote and 4.
Thank you. Councillor Merrick.
No recorded vote and 4.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Shaw.
No recorded vote and 4.
Thank you. Councillor Mr. Shaw.
No recorded vote and 4.
Myself, no recorded vote and 4. Councillor Stanley.
No recorded vote and 4.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
No recorded vote and 4.
Councillor Williams.
No recorded vote and 4. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. That is unanimously approved then. So thank you very much for your attendance, members, and nice to have a swift meeting tonight. So I'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.
Night.
Right all.
Oh,
Good night, thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, thank you.